I'm Tad Flakey,
I'm Lilibet Flakey.
and this is Pointless Global News. On today's show, a doctor leaves his patient on the operating table for a booty call.
Next, a man and his emotional support alligator are not welcome at Walmart.
And then we'll cover the annual ham throwing contest in eastern Spain. That hard-hitting news story coming later. But first, a doctor left a patient on an operating table under anesthetic to go and have sex with a nurse in another room, a medical tribunal has now heard. Dr. Suhail Anjum, age 44, and the unnamed nurse were caught in a compromising position by a shocked colleague at the Tameside Hospital in Greater Manchester. The incident, back in September of 2023, came to light in a fitness to practice hearing after Dr. Anjum, who had been living in Pakistan, applied to work in the UK again. He did not dispute the evidence against him presented by the General Medical Council, better known as GMC, during the hearing in Manchester, and said his behavior had been shameful. The consultant anesthetist had said that he needed a comfort break and asked another nursing colleague to monitor the male patient halfway through the procedure. Instead, Dr. Anjum went to another operating theater at the hospital where he had sex with a woman referred to in the hearing as Nurse C. Andrew Malloy, representing the GMC, said the nurse who walked in on the pair had been shocked and quickly walked through the theater to the exit doors. Dr. Anjum, who was gone for about 8 minutes, came back into the theater and completed his work. Mr. Malloy added, "It is right to say that no harm came to the patient when Dr. Anjum was absent from the theater, and the procedure went on without further incident." He said the nurse who discovered them went on to report the matter to her manager. Before the case was opened by the GMC, Dr. Anjum said that he did not dispute the facts of the case and admitted engaging in sexual activity with Nurse C. He said he knew that she was likely to be nearby when he left his patient. He also admitted his actions had the potential to put his patient at risk. Gee, you think? Dr. Anjum told the medical tribunal that he wanted to resume his career in the UK and promised that there would never be a repeat of this one-off error in judgment. Giving evidence and Dr. Anjum saying it was quite shameful and at least I only have myself to blame. So at least he owed up to the problem and admitted he was wrong. He said he left his colleagues and the NHS down. He added, "I offer my sincerest apologies to everyone involved, and I want the opportunity to put this right." The doctor added that the incident happened at a stressful time for his family when he and his wife were failing to connect as a couple following the premature birth of his daughter.
Well, Tad, I've worked in hospitals for decades, and there's a lot of kinky stuff that goes on, but not usually in an operating room. That's what the on-call rooms are for.
Yeah. And plus, add to the fact that this was in Britain, and thanks to us watching some of those wonderful PBS shows like Grantchester, there's always a Randy Vicker. I mean, it just seems to be in their society, their behavior.
It does, doesn't it? But not in the operating room. No.
That's a bad choice.
Mm-mm. A Western Pennsylvania man and his emotional support alligator took a shopping cart for a spin around the local Walmart, where he claims they've never had a problem. But this recent trip earned them orders to stay away. Wesley Silva, 60, and his 5-foot-long, 32-pound reptile named Jinseoshi made the local news after a trip to a Walmart in West Brownsville, Pennsylvania, where he pushed the alligator around in a shopping cart as she was wearing a dress. Before concerns about the recent visit were raised, Silva insisted he and Jinseoshi experienced nothing but praise. "We've been going to that Walmart for about 3.5 years, and normally the reaction is, 'That's pretty cool, Laura. That is awesome that you have a pet alligator, man.'" A Walmart spokesperson said, though, was far less effusive and said Jinseoshi and any other gators aren't welcomed inside the stores. "The safety of our customers and associates is our highest priority," Walmart said. "We welcome service animals in our stores, but it is unacceptable to expose members of the public to potential danger." Silva said he got the alligator from a neighbor who couldn't care for it anymore and gave it to him. Now Jinseoshi spends much of her days in a pool outside and nights in a bathtub of water. Before Jinseoshi arrived, Silva already had a zoo's worth of reptiles in his animal family, including 6 snakes, a leopard gecko, a Komodo dragon, an ocellated skink, and a second alligator. He also has a dog. Silva, a pastor at a Baptist church and a Brethren church, stopped just short of calling his worship of reptiles a holy act. In the Bible, God talks about us having dominion over animals, and I developed an affinity for the reptiles, said Silva, the father of 5 children. I find them very soothing. The reptile collection started 3 years ago when a daughter wanted a snake. I held it one night and I just kind of started really bonding with it and holding it, he said. And finally she gave me an ultimatum. Dad, you really need to get your own snake. Now, I know people love their pets, but it really does bother me when I go into a Walmart or a grocery store and people have their pets in the cart. The only animals that are allowed in stores are service animals, and they have to be trained to assist their owner with a specific task that they can't perform. I don't think an alligator would fit any of those skills that they
No.
could perform something that a disabled person or other abled person couldn't perform.
And normally that would probably strike a lot of fear in people, but you got to remember, Jinseoshi, the alligator, was wearing a cute dress. I bet it was adorable.
Yeah, I bet it was too. But all that aside, some people have allergies to pets. What if they're pooping in the grocery store? Yeah. You really don't go in for your groceries, I think, or even in a big box store. I think people are just abusing this whole animal thing. And the stores very clearly have signs that say only service animals are allowed, but people ignore that.
And finally, our end story here, it's probably going to be uplifting for those of you who find that you're no good at either football or rugby, because this might be something you could actually do. Perhaps you might do better in this sport because it judges how well players can toss their meat. Let me explain. It's not what you might be thinking. Every August, there's a contest in eastern Spain which looks at just that. You missed it for this year, but you could get practicing in time for next year, 2026. Footage from this year's event shows entrants hurling a large ham into a marked area to see how far they can get it. This tradition has been going on for decades and is now a major tourist attraction for the village. The village is called Carrascosa de la Sierra, and it's usually home to only 70 residents, but the population swells to 400 when this goes on, eager to see the festivities this summer. Known as the Campeonato de Lanzamiento de Pimil, better known in English as the Ham Throwing Championship, players chuck the ham as far as they can, much like the Olympic sport of ham throwing, but not as globally recognized. The bizarre sport began as a joke among friends at a local bar in 1997, but it's still going strong decades later. To stop the ham from going to waste, it's wrapped in tape and bubble wrap before being launched, and players say that if it does have any impact, it'll make the meat more tender. But whoever wins gets the meat as a trophy, but of course, the right thing to do is to share it with the locals and visitors alike so that everyone gets a bit of ham. There are also categories for women who throw shoulder hams, children who launch a smaller ham, and even toddlers who toss mini hams. This year's men's champion was Sergio Garcia, who threw for 20.55 meters, or about 67 feet, for those of us in the imperial countries. Usually more niche than Spain's famous La Tomatina festival, which is basically a food fight with tomatoes. This year, the ham throw went viral thanks to Talia Benedicto, age 24, who has roots in the village, and shared the montage of the event on TikTok. She said the locals are really excited because it puts Carrascosa on the map.
Just a bunch of bored people who don't have anything better to do. That's what I'm thinking.
But at least it's in Spain. I mean, the climate there, that in itself is worth the trip. But yeah, I admit, it's kind of weird. But, that's what we do here, and that's going to be a wrap for another Pointless Global News. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Tad Flaky.
I'm Lilibet Flaky.
Stay pointless, my friend.